Hello and welcome back to my channel. It's Tina. And today we're talking about one of my very favorite things. We are talking about new releases, and 2025 is going to be an incredible year for new releases. Specifically, some of my auto read authors have books coming out this year. Actually, a lot of them have books coming out this year, and these are not authors that pump out sort of mediocre works every single year. These are authors that I have been waiting for a couple of years. So today I'm sharing my very favorite authors who have books that are coming out in 2025. I have not yet read the synopsis for any of these. I'm going to read them on camera with you together because once an author gets to that auto read author status, I kind of don't care what their books are about. I'm like, doesn't matter. If they write it, I'm going to read it. So let's see what books are coming out this year. If you'd like to follow along with this list, these are all linked in Goodreads. I will link that in my profile, and they're all in the 2025 tag. There's actually 45 books tagged as 2025 right now, but I'm going to share the ones today that are by my auto read authors. All right, first up is The Ghost Riter by Julie Clark, and she is the author of a couple of books that I love. Specifically, The Last Flight is the one that I always recommend to people. I added this to my to-read list back in August of last year, and this one is a standalone thriller, and it says, I want to know what your dad did. I set down my sandwich. He wrote a book, and it sounds like this woman is working as a ghostwriter and has spent her entire professional life hiding the fact that she is the only child of legendary horror author Vincent Taylor, and she reluctantly agrees to ghostwrite her father's last book, not realizing that in doing so, she's going to be forced to reckon with his ghosts. I am so curious about this. This one comes out in June by Source Books Landmark, and I met Julie Clark in person. She's absolutely wonderful, so this one is high on my list. All right, next up, also from Source Books Landmark, is This Book Will Bury Me by Ashley Winstead. I've actually spoken to her before. She's lovely. We did an interview for the podcast, and this one comes out in March. It's got a great cover. One of my favorite covers so far that I have seen for this year. I'm curious to see what it's about. It is a story of 5 amateur sleuths whose hunt for an elusive killer catapults them into danger as the world watches. Okay. Interesting. So it's a woman who's had her father die unexpectedly, and she longs for a distraction from her grief and becomes obsessed with true crime and befriends armchair detectives who teach her how to hunt killers from afar. I don't love amateur detective novels, but I do love that sort of group of individuals that, what do they call them? When they are just lay people that get obsessed with cases and help solve them. I like that world. The case is stranger than anyone has expected, etc. I think this one will be very dark. Ashley Winstead is a fabulous author, and her mind is incredible. She writes rom-coms, but also some of the darkest stuff that I've ever read. So curious about this one. Next is The Last Session by Julia Bartz, and I like Julia Bartz. I loved The Writing Retreat. A lot of people did not like that book. That was her debut. This is her sophomore novel. I will say there's 251 ratings, and it has a 3.42 overall star rating, so not looking super promising to begin with, but it doesn't come out until April by Atria/Emily Bester Books. And this one is a locked room thriller about a social worker who must infiltrate a mysterious wellness center in the deserts of New Mexico. And yeah, I like a sort of cult. I love a locked room thriller. I definitely love a mysterious wellness center. There's a woman that shows up catatonic at the psychiatric unit, and the main character is a social worker. I'm always very picky about books that feature mental health professionals as protagonists. I hope the mental health representation is done well, but if it is, we'll have to see. Okay, don't read the reviews. I want to know why people didn't like it, but that's not my business right now. Another book that is by a favorite author is Good Dirt, Charmaine Wilkerson. This one comes out on January 28th by Ballantine Books, so you'll hear about this soon. And in this one, I actually have read the synopsis. It's about the daughter of an affluent Black family who pieces together the connection between a childhood tragedy and a beloved heirloom. And I liked her novel Black Cake very much. It's family, it's historical, it's sort of layered, and I have high hopes for this. I also love books that sort of center on this family history and something that happened, and there's an heirloom that represents, whatever it is that the family went through many years ago. So we'll have to see about this. Next is The Poppy Fields by Nikki Erlick. Couldn't be more excited, and it looks like the novel here has sprayed edges. I don't know if that's just like an AI generated image or what, but like if it comes with sprayed edges, I'm going to be excited. She is the author of The Measure, which I loved. And this is a speculative story about healing, self-discovery, and forgiveness, and found friendship. And this one is for readers and fans of Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, of which I am. It is about a research center that is home to an experimental and controversial treatment that allow those suffering from heartache to sleep through their pain and keep on sleeping. And when they awake, they'll finally be healed. I trust her. Listen, I think this is her sophomore novel, if I'm not mistaken. I also think she's a lawyer. I love when lawyers write books. They tend to be really, not always, but they tend to be very entertaining. So we'll have to see. It's called The Poppy Fields 2. That is a nod to The Wizard of Oz, which I love. Next is The Road to Tender Hearts, Annie Hartnett. Her book that I loved was Unlikely Animals. Such an incredible, funny, quirky, strange novel. This one comes out on April 29th by Ballantine, and it is a hilarious and heartwarming novel about starting over, featuring an eccentric old man who embarks on a road trip with the most unexpected companions to reunite with his high school sweetheart. I'm sold. Say nothing else. I need to request this on NetGalley if I haven't already. I actually might have a copy of it. I have to look, but that just sounds so charming. I really like the cover. I think it's really unique and cute, and I'm curious. Yep, that's on my list. People of Means by Nancy Johnson. She hasn't come out with a book, I think, since 2020, so I'm very interested here. She's a local Chicago author. Comes out on February 11th by William Morrow. And she wrote the book The Kindest Lie that I very much enjoyed. This is a novel about a mother and daughter, each seeking justice and following their dreams during moments of social reckoning. One's in 1960s Nashville and one is 1992 Chicago. Interesting. Oh, I love this. Okay. Yep. Okay. Say less. It's on the list. Next is Nat Cassidy, When the Wolf Comes Home. This one comes out on April 22nd by Tor. And I truly don't care what it's about, honestly. But it's about Jess, a struggling actress who finds a 5-year-old runaway hiding in the bushes outside her apartment. And after a violent, bloody encounter with the boy's father, she and the boy find themselves running for their lives as they attempt to evade the boy's increasingly desperate father. Horrifying incidents of butchery follows them. It sounds like it's surreal and grisly. And honestly, if it's Nat Cassidy, you kind of go in knowing that's what you're going to get. Very excited for that. Next is Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaghy. And this is about a family who lives on a remote island. A mysterious woman washed ashore and there's a rising storm on the horizon. This man and his 3 children are caretakers of Shearwater, a tiny island not far from Antarctica. They are home to the world's largest seed bank, and it was once full of researchers, but now sea levels are rising and the salts are its final inhabitants, and it sounds like a body washes up on shore and they have to decide what they're going to do with it. Don't care what it's about. I'm going to be reading this one soon. It's on my January TBR because I do have a physical copy. Comes out on March 4th though by Flatiron. All right, next is S.A. Cosby's King of Ashes. This one comes out on June 10th, also by Flatiron. And I just love him. This is a Godfather-inspired Southern crime epic and a dazzling family drama for S.A. Cosby. I've read almost all of his books except My Darkest Prayer, but my #1 favorite is Razorblade Tears. That's an all-time favorite. Definitely pick that up if you haven't already. It's brutal, but it's so tender and smart and propulsive. Right. Immaculate Conception by Lin Huang. I'm very interested. She is the author of Natural Beauty, and this one comes out on May 13th by Dutton. And this one is set in the fiercely competitive art world, and it's a novel about obsessive friendship upended by a cutting-edge technology that's reported to enhance empathy and connection. I don't like art stories. I don't like when they're set in the art world. Doesn't interest me, but I do love obsessive friendship. Her books are quirky and weird, and I'm not sure if this is her sophomore novel or if she has more, but I've only read Natural Beauty. Next up, we've got Fiend by Alma Katsu. I loved her book, The Hunger, and this one comes out in September by G.P. Putnam Sons, and let's see, she's historical horror. That's what you're going to get with Alma Katsu, and let me amend myself. That's usually what she writes, but this one is her first take on the modern world in a terrifying tale about an all-powerful family with an ancient evil under its thumb. So imagine if the Sackler family had a demon at their beck and call. Yes, I will read that. Now we've got What Kind of Paradise by Janelle Brown. For her, the book I loved was Pretty Things. Read that in 2020. I've also talked to her and she's wonderful. This is about a teenage girl who breaks free from her father's world of isolation. And it sounds like this woman or this girl grew up in an isolated cabin in Montana in the mid 1990s. And her dad was sort of her entire world. Her father is elusive about their past and gives her little information beyond the facts that they used to live in the Bay Area and that her mom died in a car accident. She becomes a teenager, starts to push against the boundaries, and it sounds like her dad was guilty of a crime, and that's why they fled. Yeah. I don't know. That sounds great. Next up is Our Last Resort by Clémence Michallon. I know I butchered that. She, I think, is French. And this one comes out on July 8th. She is the author of The Quiet Tenant, a book that I absolutely adored. Obviously, I keep saying that, but I did. It's a propulsive new thriller, and this one is about a reunion between estranged siblings that gets interrupted when a woman is found murdered at their luxury vacation resort, which brings up memories from their childhood. I'm so into this. I love books with a resort. I love books that sort of bring up bad things that happened in the past, and we're reading this. We're getting a new Stephen King. This one is Never Flinch, and this comes out in May by Hodder and Stoughton, I think. That might not be the U.S. publisher, but I am curious. This one is another Holly Gibney novel. He has had three others. This is his fourth from Holly Gibney. And when the Buckeye City Police Department receives a disturbing letter from a person threatening to kill 13 innocents and one guilty in an act of atonement, the detective Izzy Janes has no idea what to think. And so she turns to her friend Holly Gibney for help. I actually quite like this. There's a lot of female characters in this one, female activists and lawyers/investigators, but it sounds like this one focuses specifically on female empowerment. I'm curious. I love Stephen King. He is an author that can do no wrong for me. So we'll be buying this. Will we be reading it this year? Maybe not. I have not yet read Holly, though I did read the Mr. Mercedes trilogy, but we'll see. Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid is, I know a lot of folks, is highly anticipated for this year. Comes out on June 3rd by Ballantine. And this one is set against the backdrop of 1980s, the space shuttle program, and about the extraordinary lengths we go to love and live beyond our limits. So this is about astronauts. We've got Fredrik Backman, My Friends. This comes out on May 20th by Atria. And this one's a long one. It says it's 21 hours long on audio. And this is a tale about 4 teenagers whose friendship creates a bond so powerful that it changes a stranger's life 25 years later. I love Fredrik Backman, love the Beartown series, also love this one. A lot of people didn't like it. I thought it was so off the wall and fantastic. So we will have to see how that one is. Finally, the last one that I'm going to share today is Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. This is another one in the Hunger Games series. This might surprise you, but I love the Hunger Games. I'm such a fan. This comes out on March 18th. Oh, okay. So what's so exciting about this is that it's a Hunger Games 0.5. So this takes place before the original, and it is Hamish Abernathy's story about him competing in the Hunger Games. Hell yeah, give it to me immediately. I might need to do a reread. I read them when we got book 4 with, the mean guy, Snow, President Snow. We got his origin story some years ago, and I reread the first 3 then. Maybe I'll do another reread. I don't know. Anyway, those are the books that I'm most excited for in 2025 from authors that I love. Let me know if you like this type of format. I can certainly do another one with other authors or other books that are on my radar for 2025 that are authors that I've never read before or debuts that are new in 2025 that I'm excited about. But that is it for today. Thanks for joining me. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you've not yet already, and I will see you in my next video. Bye. So excited. High hopes.